Sheriff Buford Pusser's own statement to the TBI on the events of August 12th was nothing short of damning. Instead of the credible recollection of a lawman, it read like the clumsy alibi of an amateur criminal. What is even more astonishing is that while Buford lay in the hospital, recovering from what is believed to have been a self-inflicted gunshot wound, he had time to gather information about what investigators already knew regarding Pauline's death. He had time to prepare, to calculate his answers, and to anticipate the questions he knew would come. So why was he so unprepared to deliver a believable story? Why would a sheriff, someone well-versed in the system, make so many missteps in nearly every part of his account? And perhaps most importantly, why did investigators at the time fail to uphold their sworn duty in the face of such glaring inconsistencies? Mike was years ahead of others in uncovering the truth, that Buford himself murdered Pauline. In this episode, we will examine Pusser's statement in detail and allow Mike to explain why it collapses under scrutiny. Here is Mike.
Hey, I'd like to welcome everybody back as we continue to examine Buford's initial statement after the ambush. Back, everyone. As you may remember in the last episode, we took a look at just one sentence out of a 4-page statement that Buford made. And we compared that one sentence to Pauline being shot at the second ambush site. He said he was looking directly into her face when she was shot in the forehead. And, of course, I used her x-rays to dispel that idea. I have no idea why he would make such an obvious lie when he should have known that investigators would be able to distinguish very easily the difference between being shot in the forehead and being shot in the back of your head in the skull. However, he told the lie, and the x-rays proved him wrong. Now today, I want to continue with the story from there. I'll pick up where he decided to pursue the Cadillac as it left the ambush site there at Davis Yancey and New Hope Roads. He said that from the ambush site, he drove the 1 mile it took to get down to Highway 45. When he arrived there, he looked to his left, down toward Corinth. Not seeing the Cadillac anywhere, he made the decision to turn to his right and head toward Selmer. He drove past Hollis Jordan's beer joint, which was about a mile down 45, past it and went to a hill. And when he didn't see the Cadillac anywhere along that route, what did he do? He turned around, went back toward the state line, as if he thought that these guys were going to be hanging around down there somewhere. I don't know what his thought process was. But he said he pulled over in the parking area at the Shamrock Motel, which, of course, is on the Tennessee side of the line. Next, he looks across the highway, just yards away, at the Plantation Club that W.O. Hathcock owned. Now, he didn't drive over there, and that may have been on purpose because that was in Mississippi. This is just my opinion. He didn't want to cross the state line and risk the FBI becoming involved. He had no control with what they did, but he might have some influence with what the TBI did. I'm just suggesting that as a thought. But he didn't cross that state line, according to him. Not seeing the Cadillac at the Plantation Club, he decided that he would go down State Line Road. And you have to keep in mind that just an hour before, a caller had called Buford at home, first getting Pauline, but telling both of them that there was a problem down on State Line Road. The caller told Buford that there was something of importance that he would find there. You should understand that Highway 45 shares a common intersection with State Line Road and New Hope Road, and they were different road surfaces. But for some reason, Buford decides to go down State Line Road. But obviously, he turned off on the wrong road, heading back down New Hope Road. When he realizes that he's made this mistake, he said he's bleeding, he's getting groggy. But now keep in mind that prior to this, he remembered every detail of what happened during that ambush. Things like the car pulling up on the opposite side of the road, him getting out, lunging toward the car. He even remembered that Pauline, while he was looking directly into her face, was shot in the forehead. He could tell you the clothing that the shooter was wearing, his complexion. He could tell about this individual's hair, but yet, just a short time later, he couldn't remember the difference between State Line Road and New Hope Road. But he said he drove down way, got to Eber Henry's driveway, turned around, went back down 45, turned to the right, and headed down towards Selmer, making it down to Alan McCoy's store, which is located on the south side of Eastview. And yet he thought that he could convince investigators that he did all this while he was wounded, while he was bleeding, and with his dead wife, with the top of her head blown off, leaned up against the passenger door inside that vehicle while he was doing all this driving around. This story is one of those where I wondered if he was in such a mode of legend building that that's what he was doing then. He was telling this incredible story about everything he could do to find her killers. Now, you should be aware that Buford probably did not make this statement immediately after the ambush. He was in pretty bad shape, and I'm sure that the TBI waited for a short time to gather some information. Keep in mind that they had been to the ambush scenes at that point in time. They had recovered shell casings. They had seen where a portion of her scalp was laying in the ditch, along with what was said to be a stack of her brain. So keep in mind that Buford had time to discuss this with people like his father, people like Petey Plunk, probably Jim Moffitt as well. But the point is that during this time, Buford was gathering intel on what the TBI already knew. And he had time to calculate, to formulate a story that he was going to give them in a formal statement. And this is what he came up with, something that is so obvious that he is telling the biggest lie. And I have no idea why that they did not make the decision to arrest him for her murder with all the evidence that they had already gathered, knowing that his statement did not match the evidence at all. And to think there's so much more information to come. And keeping in mind, this is just 4 pages of Buford's entire file. And we haven't even gotten through the entire 4 pages yet. So can you imagine how much proof is building up that Buford murdered his wife? First, his story that disagrees with the autopsy report, and now the route that he took after the shooting. At any rate, folks, hope you have a good weekend, and we will see you on Thursday. Until then, just remember, truth has no agenda. And thanks for watching. And again, we finally got justice for Pauline.